Okay. This is my old PC. Sort of. It's the old case, motherboard and power supply from the Acer machine that I used to use, but I since upgraded to a new case, power supply, motherboard, etc. And I still have these spare, so I might as well reuse it for something. You can see the motherboard in there, power supply, and yeah, this is literally just hanging around doing nothing. And I was wondering what I could do with it. I had honestly no use for just random proprietary garbage until I thought, how cheap are LGA 1200 CPUs? I looked on CX, this is going back a couple weeks, and I saw one for £12. I was going to get that, and then it sold, so no £12 CPU. And then I found the next best thing for £18. So £2.95 postage later, I got a Pentium Gold 4GHz for about £20, which is a decent price for a modern socket, and it was much better than anything I could find on eBay. So yeah, I grabbed that, and that's coming soon. So we're gonna have I think it's 2-core full thread CPU in this. I'm also gonna get an M.2 SSD. It doesn't need to be NVMe, it just needs to be M.2, because this has proprietary power for your SATA drives, which is a real pain, and this is what really annoyed me back when I used to use this. I only have a 1 to 2 way splitter, so I can get 2 hard drives or 1 SSD, 1 hard drive, which is like I used to have when I used to use this. So rather than using up one of those 2 drives that I can technically use, I'm going to get an M.2, as it has M.2 support, and use that, so then I can have 3 drives, if that makes any sense. So yeah, this will have Pentium in there and a stock cooler for the time being, as I've only got that on hand. But in future, I'll probably get the same cooler as I've got on my main PC, which is an Arctic Alpine 12 LP. It's really quiet, and it's only about a tenner, so I might as well get one of those if it gets too noisy. Because believe me, the stock cooler on these systems is not quiet. I remember when I used to use it, and I would do something, and it would go, and even when it's not doing it, it goes like an idle engine, so it was really noisy. I remember making that Windows 11 video. I'll probably slice it in now.
It's gonna take off.
It was really loud. It was just taking off. So I don't really want that in the middle of the night, and so if I get that new cooler on there, it'll be much quieter. But yeah, so I'm gonna get an M.2 SATA, probably SSD, probably like a 128 gig. It doesn't need to be much, just to run Windows and a few programs. And then that Pentium Gold is coming eventually. As for the hard drives, my friend is hoping to send me a 2TB laptop hard drive, which I can then put into this and still have a drive slot spare. And I do currently have a 1TB laptop hard drive which I could put in. It's only 2.5 inch, not 3.5, but I don't care. I'll just screw like one screw in. This is gonna be the jank setup. But yeah, I will just be putting in a 2TB and potentially another 1TB. So I'll have 3TB of usable storage for my server needs, as well as the 128 gig boot drive. It will make sense when it all comes together. But yeah, I am hoping to get that 2TB drive off my friend. He's also going to send me a kettle lead so I can plug this in. But I'll show you the ports on the back if you're interested. You've got 2 HDMIs, and then you've got a bunch of USB, audio. These are the slots, because when I used to use this, I got my RX 580 and was hoping to use it in this case. And when I went to try use it, it wouldn't fit. It was literally, this case is so small I couldn't fit a graphics card, and it really wound me up, so I had to get a whole new case, and therefore it made sense to get a new power supply because this one barely fit. And I got a little bracket for it, but even the bracket didn't do the trick, so yeah, I've just ended up getting a new case and motherboard and power supply and everything, and I have a new graphics card in order, which will be in a video soon. But for the time being, I'm going to be using this as a server because it's very small, very power efficient. I think this is a 300 watt power supply. It's basically nothing, so it won't be using full potential being on a Pentium. And this should be really cheap to run. Reuses my old parts that I don't have a use for, so you know, I might as well use it for something. That's what I used to use as a server, and it worked fine-ish. It is a HP laptop, 14-inch, without a screen, because yes, this used to be used and the screen broke, and it's missing the F2 key, but you know, whatever. Except look, Ethernet broken, useless. Yeah, the port snapped, and I could have just gotten a USB 3 to Ethernet adapter, but this thing has an AMD A4 9125, which is a laptop CPU designed to do basically nothing. It scores, I think, 1,200 on Passmark, compared to the 4,000 odd on the new one. So this thing is not very powerful, to say the least. I remember installing Windows Server 2019 and Windows Explorer kept crashing. This is an eMMC, 64GB eMMC, mind you. This thing was built to be really cheap, and my poor parents bought this brand new for my sister to use, and I think it was about 150 quid brand new, which is way too much for this. Way too much. For £150, we could have gotten, I don't know, 8th gen, maybe 9th gen ThinkPad. No, we got this, so yeah, awful. And now the port snapped. Rather than just using a converter, which would have cost, I don't know, £10. Oh, I need a new Ethernet cable, by the way, because the one I used to use got broken. So that's another thing I need to get. It just made more sense to reuse the old parts and build a better server, because this thing is not worth it. It's so bad. I'm opening Firefox on Windows Server. You had to wait approximately 30 seconds for Firefox to spin, and then it would open Firefox. It would open it and then it'd do its little loading animation, which wasn't a big deal, but it was just annoying, you know, having to wait for your flipping web browser to think about loading. But yeah, it's just not worth running. And it made more sense just to go with making this into a server, because I wanted to have a bit more storage on a storage share, as my 1TB hard drive is pretty much full. So it makes more sense to get a 2 or 3 terabyte storage share. And yeah, it just makes sense to reuse these old parts rather than just them sitting around. What am I going to do with this server, you may be asking? That's a good question. I haven't fully decided yet. Well, I'm probably going to be running a media server, such as, I don't know, maybe Jellyfin, maybe Plex. But Jellyfin might be easier, as my family likes to use Plex for standard free Plex content. So it makes more sense just to keep it separate with Jellyfin. And also Jellyfin's completely free, and I won't have to pay Plex Pass for half the things to work. So yeah, probably going to be installing Jellyfin. Probably getting a Samba share up and running, so I can share files to this pretty quick. It doesn't need to do a whole lot. That's probably more or less it. Maybe a Minecraft server every now and then so I can play with friends, but as I say, it's not going to do a whole lot. I'm probably going to run AdGuard when I get a better Ethernet cable. I tried running it on the HP, and because the Ethernet kept falling out, it kept on crashing my devices, and I kept on being confused why the internet kept going, so it was really, really annoying. And having a working, reasonable machine to run it will be awesome. Look what I just found on the floor. The thing that snapped off the HP, which is quite ironic. You are useless, HP. Why do you do this? Oh yeah, another thing to mention. I remember trying to upgrade the RAM in this, and it said 2 slots. It has 2 slots, right? One isn't even soldered on properly. You've got one slot, and another slot's pads and solder points. Well, nothing actually connected to it. So this thing is turning on. This thing is useless to me, right? It's so bad. I'm probably going to use this as some kind of test bench if I need to, because I don't care. Literally nobody wanted this in my family. And I said, can I have it? And they said, sure. It is broken. No one wanted a broken screen laptop with no screen or Wi-Fi or Ethernet now. It's just completely junk. HP, I'm pretty sure this is called planned obsolescence. Anyways, so to summarize, we are going to be putting an SSD, CPU, some hard drives into this, as well as getting a new kettle lead for it. And also we're going to be running potentially Jellyfin, Samba, and maybe a Minecraft server, and an AdGuard server. If you don't know, AdGuard is basically just like Pi-hole, but a bit better. So yeah, that was more or less what this is going to do. It will be plenty. CPU will barely be struggling. That HP would be on 100% utilization on the desktop. So this will be much, much better, and it won't be constantly crashing every 10 seconds. So massive upgrade, massive storage upgrade, and my first little server project. So I will be seeing you guys in the next server Saga video, which is what I'm going to call it. And we're going to be doing a CPU installation, making sure it all works, and then we'll do some hard drives and software after that. So yeah, bye.